She actually said specifically that she could have actually made this judgment or sentencing date during the next court term, but that she wanted it resolved as soon as possible. Of course, I'm now joined by the NPA spokesperson, by Luvuyo Mfaku, just to discuss some of the more interesting aspects that have come out in the last few minutes. The NPA making a very unusual application for the ban of the publication of images of Reeva Steenkamp's body to be lifted. What informed that decision?
We render victim-centric services to our society. It was the wishes of the family that initially we must ban anybody having access to those photos. Now they've given new instructions to the extent that those pictures can be divulged to the public.
We've had a number of very high-profile murder cases in South African history. We have never seen an application of this nature before. What does the NPA say to criticisms that why do this in this case and not others? Is this going to set a precedent? Will you be publishing images of other murder victims?
We'll be guided by the wishes of the family. Remember, we protected the integrity of the family. We would not, while the trial was proceeding, allow a situation where the pictures were publicized. But you heard yesterday the victim's father, while testifying, he expressed a wish that the photos can be published now. So we take instruction from the family as representative of the family.
How would you as the NPA like to see these kind of images published? Because we heard Barry Bruce saying, what about the concerns of children, etc., etc. How do you want these images to be used?
The images has to be published in a responsible manner. You heard when the state prosecutor arguing that we cannot expose children to those images. Whoever is publishing the images, he has to do it in a very responsible manner.
We're now coming back to court on the 6th of July. Is the state do you still believe that Oscar Pistorius should get 15 years in prison? And why does the state have such a strong view on this particular issue?
We've always maintained that there's legislation. As the functionary of the state, our responsibility is to ensure that we apply the law. In the instant case, the provisions of the Minimum Sentences Act are applicable. Hence, we're saying the minimum sentence of 15 years has to be applied. But we do not actually, we still consider the fact that the judge has got a discretion to deviate if there are substantial and compelling circumstances. But our legal team today presenting very compelling and substantial reasons for her not to deviate from the prescribed minimum sentence.
Luvuyo, weekend media reports, and particularly the Telegraph, suggesting that prosecutor Andrea Johnson had told a journalist that if you didn't get at least an 8-year sentence, you would appeal. Is that a correct reflection of the NPA's position?
It cannot be an official position of the NPA. Any official position from the NPA, you get it from me or the communications unit. I do not know from which context was she quoted, but that cannot be our position. We respect the courts. Our responsibility is to argue and for imposition of a particular sentence, but we cannot preempt what the judges are going to say in a particular matter.
But given that you've argued for 15 years, I suppose you're not ruling out the possibility that if the sentence is not to what you believe are the appropriate standards, you will take a decision on a possible appeal?
We are anticipating because of the discretion that the court has. Hence, Advocate Nell in his argument said he requested the court to impose the 15-year minimum sentence or a lengthy sentence if it deviates from the prescribed minimum sentence.
Thank you very much, Luvuyo. I'm just going to move this camera to the back here where we can see that Oscar Pistorius has just walked out of this courtroom. Of course, crucial arguments being made here, Joanne, that will determine his future. His lawyer saying today that he had essentially lost his future, lost his career, was a broken man and should not be sent to prison for a lengthy time. But it's really going to be up to Judge Thokozile Masipa to weigh those kinds of arguments and make a determination.